My child, please take a moment to stop scrolling because this message is important and you cannot afford to ignore it. Stay with me and pay close attention. If you have been bearing the burden of something that almost broke you, or if you have been wondering in private if you would soon experience the same suffering once more, I want you to pay close attention to what I say because what I am going to say will make you feel something. Close a door that the adversary believed to be open and reveal what has been attempting to re-enter your existence. Don't click away. Don't allow anything divert you from this moment. I am not just consoling you, so stay until the very end. I am calling you into a future that won't resemble your past while still cautioning and defending you. If this word is already making its way to your heart, you must continue listening because what follows will alter everything. Come closer, my child, and allow me to talk to the part of you that still becomes silent whenever life begins to feel too familiar. I am aware that there is a part of you that has acquired the ability to spot patterns before they fully develop. I am aware of how fast your heart might start to race when anything in the present starts to mirror what hurt you in the past. Even though you may appear composed to others, your spirit occasionally braces itself before your head has a chance to explain why. This is due to the fact that you recall what it was like to have faith, and then observe how everything changed under your feet. You recall how swiftly safety gave way to doubt, how tranquility rapidly gave way to confusion, and how what once felt suddenly, your greatest pain came from being secure. I've seen how that memory permeates not only your thoughts but also your body, your behaviors, and the way you pause before opening up once more. I've witnessed how you developed the ability to guard a portion of yourself. How you began to get ready for disappointment before happiness had a chance to take hold. And I don't criticize you when I talk to you about that. I talk to you tenderly because I understand why you were so cautious. You didn't select fear because you desired separation from love. Pain taught you to be cautious because things that seem close can nonetheless move away. But pay attention to what I am saying now and don't hurry. The past does not have the power to dictate the future. The anguish that once found a way into your life is not allowed to come again and pass through you in the same manner. I am not saying this because of how minor your history was, or how superficial your scars were. I say this because, when you were attempting to endure what almost broke you, but I was already working on you in ways you were blind to. I was strengthening parts of you that had never been reinforced before, even in your darkest hours. I was imparting knowledge to your spirit that your emotions were still unable to comprehend. I was pointing out things for you to see. I was discovering places where your identity had gotten too attached to things that were never stable enough to support it, where your heart had been too open, and where your tranquility had been too reliant on people remaining the same. I didn't miss your confusion. You were having trouble breathing through it, and I wasn't observing from a distance. Parts of you that you believed had already fallen apart were being held together by me. I now need you to hear something that might initially seem untrustworthy. However, I want it to remain in your soul. You are not as susceptible as you once were. You are not as ignorant as you once were. You are not as helpless as you once were. I am aware that you requested that I refrain from using repetitive structures. Thus, listen to this in the simplicity of a father's voice. Even though you still feel tender, you have changed, my kid. You did not leave that storm with nothing. You emerged with insight, discernment, and a more profound awareness of when tranquility is starting to fade. That is important. I understand that there are moments when you wish you could just be liberated without having to think so much, without analyzing the atmosphere of every circumstance, and without worrying about whether history is going to repeat itself in a different way. I am familiar with you, are sick of feeling as though your heart must exercise caution. However, I want you to know that your narrative does not finish with your caution. It's only proof that your spirit can't afford to disregard what it recalls. And I am transforming memory into discernment where it used to make you feel stuck. I am teaching you how to be aware without becoming alarmed, how to stop without getting out of control, and how to sense a warning without believing that a catastrophe has already started. I now protect you in part by doing that. I am not requesting that you turn into my evil once more. To demonstrate your healing, I am not asking you to trust carelessly. I know you still carried tenderness in certain places, so I am not expecting you to act indifferent. What I am trying to tell you is that something that once came into your life and completely upended, everything won't find the same axis again. I am standing where you can't see me. I am stopping things before they have a chance to fully develop. I am causing some patterns to become unpleasant earlier than they used to. I am making you feel something when peace starts to erode. To assist you identify what no longer belongs close to your heart, not to cause you anxiety. You won't be able to disregard some of the things you used to justify. Some areas you used to spend too much time in will now make you want to leave sooner. I've been teaching you how truth feels, so certain voices that you once trusted now sound different. Therefore, I do not mean that life will never be difficult for you when I say that I will not allow you to experience that again. I don't mean you won't ever experience the discomfort of being stretched or the pain of uncertainty. In other words, the same types of destruction no longer have unrestricted access to the same unguarded areas. What I am repairing, I am protecting. I am keeping an eye on things that attempt to turn around, even if you are attempting to go on and not worry about it. I am recalling what almost buried you. I am not reckless with your heart because I remember. My darling, there were times when you believed you had lost too much to ever feel secure again. A part of you continued to live with one eye turned backward, waiting for the sound of the same pain returning, even as you made an effort to move forward. At times, it took place silently. Sometimes it happened in the midst of a typical moment when nothing was obviously wrong. However, a tone, a delay, a change in someone's behavior, or a familiar kind of distance caused your heart to abruptly clench. I am aware of how swiftly past anxiety might resurface when an old wound's shape is touched by the current. You are aware of how draining it is to feel as though your spirit responds before your mind does. And I want you to know that I have never been irritated by that aspect of you. I have never considered your guardedness to be weakness. I have never concluded that you were failing based on your hesitancy. I am aware of the background of your caution. I am aware of the price you paid to survive the last time. I am aware of the profound impact it has on your perception of others, your interpretation of quiet, and your self-preparation when anything begins to have significance. I am aware that there are times when you want to completely rest, trust, and think that the positive item in front of you can endure. However, the recollection of the past is like a shadow next to you, whispering that you have witnessed this before and that it did not turn out well. My voice is louder than that shadow, my darling. It is not your guide, but it might still exist occasionally. I am now your mentor, and I am teaching you the distinction between terror and discernment. Fear presumes loss prior to the existence of proof. Discernment alerts me when there is a disturbance of the peace. Fear causes you to shrink. Discernment makes you more aware of what comes into your life while teaching you how to remain receptive to me. I am currently walking that route with you. I am not trying to heal you by putting you back in settings that are similar to the wound to see whether you can handle them better. Be demonstrating to you that your boundaries are important, your tranquility is important, and your spirit deserves to be heard. I am healing you. And that you can rely on me both before and after things break apart. One of the biggest changes I am bringing about in you is that you've known me for a long time as the person who met you in the aftermath, consoled you following the injury, and held you when the tears eventually came, and because I love you unconditionally, I have gladly been that for you. However, I now want you to get to know me in a different way. I want you to recognize me as the one who issues warnings, the person who changes course. The person who creates you uncomfortable before the incorrect door opens too widely. The person who slows things down when your feelings are racing. The person who takes away what you believed you desired because I am aware of the consequences. In reality, some of the things you have lamented were saved. My mercy intervening before a pattern had a chance to recur was one of the delays you were irritated about. Because you were difficult to love, some of the people who lost contact with you stayed. They departed since their belongings were not permitted to continue accessing your more profound locations. I am aware that the reality might still hurt, particularly if you had hope in your heart. However, I want you to know that I haven't been a passive person in your life. Even in ways that initially seemed perplexing, I have been aggressively defending you. Certain cycles desired to return. With fresh names and faces, some old dynamics attempted to reappear. There were well-known wounds, attempting to pass for opportunities, second chances, or something that seemed about secure enough. However, I intervened after seeing what you were still unable to see. I need you to quit taking every interruption as a sign of rejection because of this. Sometimes, what you refer to as loss is my refusal to allow your heart to take another turn in history. And as you proceed to what lies ahead, I want you to find solace in something more profound than your own capacity for outcome prediction. You don't have to learn to read every sign. I don't need you to grow so protective that you won't ever let anything lovely to get close to you. I need you to walk with me closely enough to notice when the peace changes and to pay attention when my spirit nudges you. I need you to share your doubts with me before things start to fall apart. I need you to believe that I am aware of what nearly brought you to ruin. I am not sending you back into the same unprotected fire, because I remember, you can still encounter challenging situations. As you rebuild your trust, you could still feel vulnerable. However, the following chapter won't be based on the same shaky base. Now I am putting something more powerful below you. Through intimacy with me rather than control, I am re-establishing your inner sense of security. And the more you practice staying close to my voice, the more you will see that something sacred has shifted. What used to ensnare you now attracts your attention more quickly. What used to take months to comprehend now becomes evident much sooner. What used to utterly disturb your tranquility will no longer be permitted to do so. That's not because you've grown tough. It's because I've grown increasingly trusted in the situations where you used to feel isolated. So, my child, take a breath. You don't have to live with the fear that the worst will happen at any moment. Every time something starts to matter, you don't have to get ready. In a way you are still getting used to, I am with you right now. And with the kindness of a parent who has seen every tear and counted every sleepless night, I am telling you straight out. At night, I won't allow you to experience that in the same manner as you did previously. You sense things now that you used to ignore for a purpose, my child. And every time your soul senses something before your mind can articulate it, I want you to stop labeling it anxiety. You need the clarity of my voice more than the sound of your anxiety right now. So have a seat with me and allow me to explain this simply. You've been learning discernment from me. I've been teaching your inner self to see the things that used to elude you. I have been increasing your awareness in areas where you once moved too fast, trusted too readily, explained away too much, or stayed too long. This level of sensitivity was not always present in you. It used to be acceptable to sit in the center of a depleting environment. You used to be able to ignore the subtle pressure in your soul because you were so desperate for the connection, the chance, the approval, and the security of the future you had so vividly envisioned. Once upon a time, the cost of admitting what seemed wrong was greater than the cost of continuing, so you chose to ignore it. However, you are no longer that version of yourself. And I want you to cease lamenting the loss of your former comfort as if it had always been knowledge. Peace wasn't the only thing you missed. A portion of what you miss is just ignorance. In reality, much of what seemed easy in the past was your incapacity to identify danger in a timely manner. I understand that hearing that can be difficult, since there is a part of you that longs to return to the times when you had faith in, quicker, calmed down sooner, and didn't need to pay as much attention to the environment. However, I am not guiding you back into mindless solace. I am guiding you toward calm with clarity. There's a distinction. At first, blind comfort seems simple, but it becomes expensive over time. Sometimes having clear-sighted peace requires you to stop, pray, ask more difficult questions, move more slowly, and pay attention to what your emotions would prefer to ignore. That doesn't constitute punishment. That's defense. That's the result of everything I've been teaching you. Thus, don't shame yourself right away if you sense a tiny check in your spirit. Before you've even presented it to me, don't claim that I am overanalyzing once more. Just because your inner uneasiness lacks grammatical support doesn't mean you should ignore it. Get used to sitting with it. Recognize it. Learn to ask me about it. Seldom is discernment first loud. It is frequently a gentle prod, a tiny unease, a pressure that makes maintaining calm more difficult, an odd weight that follows a torque, or a subtle resistance when your emotions are attempting to sprint ahead. I need you to become motionless so that I can hear what your spirit is already sensing. The world will advise you to disregard that. It will advise you to continue moving, pleasing, and demonstrating. Continue moving forward. It would be inconvenient to stop, so keep referring to discomfort as normal. However, I am calling you to something more sacred than practicality. I am trying to get your attention. I am calling you to consciousness. I am calling you to live with me, so that your inner life might become a place of direction rather than uncertainty. Join me in that. Go more slowly. Be mindful. Before you attach, ask. Prior to committing, ask. Before you call anything a blessing just because it came, ask. I am aware of your intense desire for certain. However, desire is not insight on its own. Confirmation does not equate to urgency. Peace is not intensity, and since I love you, I am teaching you that. I don't want you to go through the same heartache and learn the same lesson. Thus, consider this an invitation as well as guidance. Give up controlling your spirit's perceptions. Before you explain it away, bring it to me. Before you manufacture an excuse, come sit with me. Allow me to show you what it means to see what you used to overlook. This is one way I prevent you from experiencing the same suffering under a different name. My dear, you have previously asked me why some things seem strange to you today, while they may not have disturbed you in the past. You've questioned why you can't appreciate some places the way you used to. Why some conversations leave you exhausted in unexpected ways. Why, even when nothing dramatic has happened, some people make you feel heavy. Why do some opportunities that ought to be thrilling feel tense rather than serene? Additionally, you have occasionally placed the blame on yourself because you do not fully comprehend what I am doing. You described yourself as being overly sensitive. You've told yourself that you're getting harder. You've questioned whether you're recreating issues where none exist. However, I want you should cease believing that every internal signal indicates a malfunction. It can be discernment at times. It is occasionally the result of what I have been cultivating in you. Sometimes what matters, my child, is your spirit seeing things that your former self would have overlooked until the consequences became clear. Don't hate that procedure. The very sensitivity that I have been sanctifying should not be insulted. Being guided by discernment and being controlled by fear are two different things. Fear responds to potential. Discernment reacts to reality even when the truth is nuanced. Panic, suspicion, and emotional turmoil are frequently brought on by fear. Discernment typically prompts you to take a moment to reflect, pray, and focus more intently. That's one way to distinguish between the two. Don't jump to either extreme when anything comes up in you. Don't let it go unnoticed or turn into a complete story in your head right away. Turn to face me instead. Lord, tell me if this is wisdom or fear. Then stay long enough to hear what's being said. Let me take care of it, allow me to assist you. This isn't anything you must become proficient in overnight. It is a partnership, it's training. It's a method of strolling with me that gradually becomes more apparent. Additionally, the more you do it, the more you'll see the patterns and be able to distinguish between fresh warnings and touching existing wounds. You will discover how your spirit feels when something is starting to go out of alignment and how I feel at rest when things is in alignment. You'll discover how to observe without whirling. You'll discover how to depart earlier without waiting for things to fall apart. Before your heart becomes ensnared, you will learn how to ask better questions. My child, this is sacred maturity. Although it might not appear dramatic on the outside, it will spare you a great deal of needless grief. I need you to quit romanticizing the previous version of yourself that didn't overthink things because of this. Sometimes what is referred to as simplicity is really a lack of spiritual focus. Occasionally, what you refer to as innocence actually a combination of hope and inexperience. Even if hope is lovely, it can lead you to situations that gradually rob you of your tranquility if it lacks insight. Your hope is not being taken away by me. I am teaching your hope where to find its roots. I am not attempting to cast doubt on every individual, door, or opportunity. I am trying to educate you how to stay close enough to me so that you don't need a catastrophe to confirm that something is wrong. Growth is that. Mercy is what that is. That is among the karma I've been doing wonders on you. Therefore, don't downplay what you are experiencing the next time. Stop there, don't overrule it. Don't dismiss it because the proof seems insufficient. Just because acknowledging it could prevent you from getting the desired result doesn't mean you should suppress it. Bring it over to me. What do I see? Find out what I know. What is your soul observing? Ask me. After that, have faith in my ability to instruct you. I haven't abandoned you to solve this on your own. All along, I've been training you. The reality that you are becoming aware of what you previously overlooked is frequently evidence that you are developing rather than that you are broken. There's more to this, my child, and it might be one of the most crucial things I tell you this season. Danger is not the only aspect of discernment. It also has to do with alignment. You will miss half of what I am doing if you simply believe that discernment exists to assist you avoid suffering. I do use it to warn you, yes. I do use it to slow you down, yes. Yes, I utilize it to assist you in identifying things that deplete, trick, or disturbs your tranquility. However, I also use it to teach you about places where life is flowing, grace is resting, truth feels stable, and tranquility endures even in the face of adversity. The goal of discernment is not to make you a threat spotter. Its purpose is to assist you in identifying the locations of my hand. This implies that you have to allow it to go beyond suspicion management. Let it develop into a gait. Allow it to develop into a listening technique. Make it a habit to observe what occurs in your inner world when you approach, remain in, or go away from anything. Take note of your strengths. Take note of what drains you. A note that makes things more clear. A notice that causes confusion. Even in the face of uncertainty, take note of where you feel protected, a feeling that you are continually under pressure, hurried, or diminished. These are not minor issues. Your spirit is learning to read these languages, and I would like you to join me in learning that language. Don't wait for a crisis. Practice on a regular basis. In casual chats, pay attention. After a phone call, pay attention to your soul. Take note of how particular rooms affect you. When you consider a choice, see how your calm reacts. Bring those items to me. Let them turn into prayers. Let them start a dialogue. Allow them to become an integral part of your life, not just your recuperation. In this way, discernment becomes a steady guide rather than a dramatic emergency instrument. This is how you start living instead of just reacting from consciousness. And when you give yourself over to me, awareness becomes one of your best defenses. Additionally, I want you to be careful not to use discernment as a cover for avoidance. Here's where being truthful is important. Not all discomfort is a sign of danger. Discomfort can sometimes be a sign of progress. Occasionally, the very thing I am guiding you toward will push you, challenge you, or call for a level of vulnerability that your past traumas would want to avoid. You need me in the process because of this. You can't just put your trust in every uncomfortable sensation without asking me what it signifies. A hint of unease is a caution. A certain amount of unease is therapeutic. The discomfort of leaving familiar dysfunction can cause some distress. The stretching that results from stepping into these patterns causes some discomfort. For this reason, relationships with me are more important than formulas. I am not imposing a strict system on you. I am extending an invitation for more intimate companionship. I would like you to ask me frequently. Bring me your inner signals, please. Let me train your judgment, please, through dialogue rather than fear. This is where you become more free. Your faith in me becomes more than just a notion at this point. This is the point at which you start living more steadily and cease being dependent on your feelings at any given time. One place your heart can hear, your mind can stop, your soul can sense, and my voice can guide. So pay close attention to what I am saying. I love you too much to allow you to continue learning everything. So I have been teaching you how to recognize what you formerly missed. Through suffering, your soul is being trained by me to become increasingly recognizable as peace rather than turmoil. My presence is trusted more than your previous habits, and truth is valued more than fiction. Continue with that process. Don't rush it. Don't minimize it. Don't view it as a defect. It's a give, it's a guarantee. It's a part of how I keep you. Allow it to develop. Give it time to grow. And each time you see things that you would have overlooked in the past, don't freak out. Lord, teach me what I am sensing. Whisper to me. Then pay attention. I will. As I have been honing your discernment and teaching you to see what you previously missed, I am also calling you to become a conduit for others to see. Your act of giving becomes light in the darkness of those souls who are still walking in bewilderment, still dismissing warning signs as usual, and still failing to see the gentle nudges I am sending. You are not contributing to a channel when you stitch into this piece. You are sowing seeds in people's hearts. I am getting ready for awakening. However, I do not claim that people who weep will find happiness. Tonight, I am breathing on every seed you release, multiplying it into revelation, healing, and rescue for someone who feels lost. I am luring you into a partnership with me, which is why your spirit has been aroused. Thank you very much for supporting this mission. Become a member or make a PayPal donation. IV included a link in the description. I'll grow as you release. I'll replenish as you pour. I will guard as you give what worries you. Don't put off this moment. Give and enter a state of obedience. This is when your heart needs courage and consolation, my child, so I want you to stay near my voice. Certain patterns have attempted to circle your life like vultures waiting to return at the appropriate time. Old cycles are aware of your vulnerabilities, old wounds that recall the form of your fear. They know what used to work against you, so they whisper old lies in familiar tones. I know you've experienced it before. There are times when it starts so quietly that you nearly miss it, a particular type of predator. A particular kind of emotional bewilderment, a particular urgency that initially feels thrilling but disturbs your tranquility. Sometimes it comes through someone who doesn't look familiar, but has the same emotional vibe as someone who has heard you before. Sometimes it manifests as an opportunity that appears good, but requires you to disregard the same warning signs that you previously disregarded. Occasionally, it comes from your own ideas, your own routines, and your own propensity to go back to the familiar, because familiar suffering can seem more secure than unexpected tranquility. My dear, I am aware of all of it. I am aware of how cycles operate. I am aware of how the adversary examines your vulnerabilities and then attempts to repackage them with a more convincing disguise, a softer voice, or a cleaner face. However, I need you to listen to me now with the gravity of a parent watching over what he has been mending. I won't allow the same thing to continue rooting you in the same manner once more. That does not imply that you will never encounter challenges. That does not imply that life will become effortless, straightforward, or problem-free overnight. It indicates that I am actively stopping what tries to recur before it becomes another serious injury. It implies that I am no longer letting some things go unnoticed as they used to. It implies that I am now paying different attention to the areas where you were previously blind, hurried, unduly optimistic, or emotionally overexposed. IV, been quietly establishing limits in your life that you may not always be aware of at the time. Where you anticipated ease, I have been putting resistance. Where you desired fast axes, I have been creating friction. I've been letting some things halt, change, or disintegrate before they could penetrate far enough to cause you the kind of harm they used to. I am aware that you have not always approved of that. I am aware that you have referred to it as disappointment, uncertainty, rejection, or delay on occasion. I am aware that there were times when you requested, "I don't understand why something that was so promising suddenly turned challenging. Why did something that appeared to be opening suddenly close? Why did someone who was on the verge drift? Why, just when you wanted to go forward, your own spirit grew uneasy." However, I need you to stop thinking that every disruption is a loss, my child. Rescue is one of the interruptions. A certain amount of resistance serves as defense. The sound of my mercy pressing against what your spirit cannot afford, but your emotions still desire, is one of the delays. Give that some time to sink in. Don't hurry past it. You've previously asked me why some things seem to fall apart as soon as you start to hope again. Punishment isn't always the solution. Sometimes the explanation is that I saw the old pattern attempting to put on new clothes, but I prevented it from getting close enough to perform its previous function. I am aware of the previous cost you incurred. I am aware of what it took to get you through the fallout. I am aware of the struggles your body, mind, emotions, and spirit faced in order to survive. Do you really believe that I would support casually and allow the same trap to take hold without saying anything, prodding, cautioning, or intervening? No, I am too close, my child. I have too much invested. I know all too well what almost buried you. Thus, take this as a command as well as consolation. Give up treating every interruption as an enemy. Before labeling something as a failure, take a moment. Before you grieve it, bring it to me. Lord, tell me if this resistance is a warning. Is there a cover for this delay? Is this unease an indication that something familiar is attempting to reappear? Then remain silent long enough to hear. I want you to understand that my disruptions are a part of my love. I want you to understand that I don't always withhold good when I make something more difficult to access. Sometimes I am protecting you from things that appear nice but actually contain old poison. I occasionally close a subtle trap before it completely collapses. There are moments when I am defending your tranquility against patterns you are just starting to recognize. Have faith in that, embrace that. Allow my interruptions to become sacred to you. They are not arbitrary. They are not irresponsible. They are accurate. They are defensive. They are private. There have been times, my child, when you experienced a strange uneasiness that you were unable to describe. On the outside, everything appeared respectable, even appealing, but there was something deeper inside of you that was not at ease. You made an effort to reason with yourself. You told yourself that you were being overly cautious, overly sensitive, and overly impacted by the past. The opportunity seemed right, so you thought about persevering. The relationship appeared significant, or the prospect of at last getting what you had been waiting for seemed too valuable to jeopardize. However, there was a check in your spirit beneath all of that. A faint signal was present. My child, there was a soft resistance that did not scream, but it also did not go away. I was like that a lot. It wasn't always fear. It wasn't always overanalyzing. You weren't always broken like that. That was frequently my hand, cutting something off before it could develop into something more familiar injury. For this reason, I need you to stop accepting your own confusion so quickly. Don't rush to replace peace with explanations when it starts to fade. Don't immediately put your desire for a particular result ahead of your unsettled spirit. It's time to pause, take a deep breath, and turn to face me. When someone asks you to suppress what you know in order to maintain what you desire, here I would like more collaboration from you. Before committing, I would like more discussion. More prayer before pursuit is what I want. ID like more. Silence prior to attachment. Send me an invitation sooner. Ask me beforehand. Instead of just calling for me once, let me be involved from the start. The harm has begun. I prevent cycles from recurring in part by doing this. I don't just treat you after the fact. Before the collapse, I lead you. Before the wound, I warn you. Before the entanglement, I slow you down. However, you will continue to miss the very assistance you requested if you continue to view every internal signal as an annoyance. Now change that with me. Come to a new understanding with me. Lord, if you interrupt it, I will not automatically resist it. If you slow it down, I will not instantly call it loss. If you remove something quickly, I will not assume you are punishing me. I will ask, I will wait, I will listen. This attitude will spare you more suffering than you may think. You will become more in line with how I protect you, but it won't make life easier. I also need you to comprehend something else. Not all of my disruptions come from outside sources. Occasionally, I stop something from repeating itself by revealing the pattern within you before. It can cause you to experience the same kind of suffering again. In order for you to finally see it clearly, I occasionally allow you to experience the familiar pull toward what drains you. I occasionally bring up an old temptation to show you how it operates rather than to humiliate you. I occasionally let you see how fast you want to overanalyze someone's actions. How quickly you want to forget about the tranquility that has been lost. How soon you like to remain where you are emotionally ravenous out of fear of leaving empty-handed. Moments are sacred opportunities, so make the most of them. Do not give in to shame when the old pattern comes back to haunt you. Bring it to me right now. Allow me to demonstrate its touching qualities. I'll tell you what it feeds on. Before it starts up, again, let me show you how to stop it. This has nothing to do with suspicion of everything positive. It's about developing the integrity to see when something I've been restoring territory, and familiar is attempting to take it back. For this reason, I want you to focus on your own reactions as well as other people and opportunities. A warning when you are under pressure to hurry. Take note of when you start downplaying the things that annoy you. And pay attention to when you are tempted to refer to chaos as chemistry, confusion as a component of it, or emotional exhaustion as normal. Old patterns frequently attempt to reappear in those areas. You won't accept them simply because they are acquainted. Safe does not equate to familiar. Familiar does not imply from me. Sometimes being familiar just means you've been through it before. I am now teaching you at a higher level. I am teaching you to ask, is there peace in this? Does this make things clear? Does this increase people's faith in me? Or does it draw me away from my core? These are the inquiries that prevent cycles from subtly returning to your life. And since I want you to do more than just endure disruptions, allow me to take you one step further, my dear child. I want you to acknowledge their sacredness. Because you were attempting to base your security on consistency, you used to frequently view disruption as something to be afraid of. If doors unexpectedly closed or things abruptly changed, if people suddenly moved. It felt dangerous if momentum was lost. It seemed to be the start of suffering. It seemed to be evidence that you were floored or that life was working against you once more. However, that interpretation is what I am writing. I am showing you that some of the most before they appear as protection, the loving things I do in your life seem like disruption. At first, some of your story's most sacred moments won't feel serene. They could feel like sudden endings, confusion, or disappointment. However, you will realize that what appeared to be an unwelcome interruption was actually my hand preventing you from suffering another injury, when the mist clears and the truth becomes apparent. For this reason, I need you to stop judging my goodness solely by how easy a path seems. It's not always safe to be smooth. Simple is not consistently in alignment. Fast isn't always preferred. Sometimes the very thing you refer to as open is only open, because you are still emotionally ravenous enough to disregard what your spirit is already aware of. I say that without passing judgment but with love. I am aware of the blurring of vision caused by longing. I am aware of how hope can leave you open to what appears to be a response. My interruptions are crucial because of this. They slice through the mist. They halt momentum long enough for the truth to be useful. Where you would have rushed, they create a pause, cause you discomfort. Where you would have settled, they show you how much something will cost before you make the final payment. My child, that is mercy. Unbeknownst to you, I have been doing that for you a lot. So get this right away. Take it all in. When something starts to stall again, the next time a connection feels odd all of a sudden, the next time, even though everything appears to be going well on paper, your calm begins to wane. The next time your plans start to fall apart in unexpected ways, don't assume the worst right away. Avoid doing so right away. Lament what might be saving your life. Quit, please let me in. Tell me what's being interrupted and why. Before it can happen again, ask me if I am revealing an old pattern. Ask me if what appears to be lost serves as a shield. And hold on, allow me to respond via calm clarity, and the profound understanding that settles when you cease disputing what your spirit is already perceiving. And if I tell you to leave, do so. Slow down if I tell you to. Release it if I tell you to. If I instruct you to allow the door to shut, don't bargain with the thing I am interrupting. Don't romanticize the pattern I am revealing. If your spirit is already worn out before it has even started, don't call it maybe this time. Listen to me. Stay with me. Trust me enough to let my interruptions become part of your healing. Because this time, my child, I am not leaving you to discover the trap only after it has tightened around your heart. I am interrupting what tries to repeat itself. I am in the space. I am protecting what I've rebuilt. And if you walk with me through this, stop, listen, ask questions and obey, you'll start to realize that what would have otherwise been another sad chapter ends much sooner. It's not because life is simple. The reason for this is that you are no longer vulnerable in areas where you were previously alone, ignorant, and unprotected. I am present, am vigilant. I am involved, and I'll stop anything that tries to come back. For this part, my child, I need you to get closer because of what I am doing to you. Now is more profound than relief, more profound than fleeting serenity, more profound than just taking away the pain. I am restoring your inner sense of security. And I know that might not sound dramatic at first, but you would see how sacred this work is if you realized how much of your life has been subtly shaped by inner insecurity, learned vigilance, and the need to anticipate, manage, or control what might happen next. You don't realize how much time you've spent watching everything in an attempt to feel safe. You've made an effort to feel secure by paying close attention to people, anticipating changes, getting ready for disappointment before it happens, and maintaining emotional awareness so nothing can surprise you again. I can see why. I am fully aware of the source of that. I understand what it was like when something abruptly changed. I am aware of how fast your trust was betrayed. I am aware of how closely your tranquility depended on things remaining steady, people remaining dependable, doors remaining open, affection remaining clear, and results going in the way you had hoped. Your inner world took a hard lesson when those things changed. I could get hurt again if I don't remain vigilant. After suffering, that lesson made sense. But right now, I need you to hear me. True safety is not the same as constant vigilance. It is draining even though it feels protective. It may give you a sense of readiness, but it keeps your body tense and your soul restless. It may make it easier for you to recognize some threats, but it also makes it more difficult for you to find inner peace. I am not denouncing you for that. I am just letting you know that I don't want your life to be centered around internal alarms. Instead of making you hyper-aware, I want to teach your soul what it feels like to be safe because you are held. I want to teach your body how to soften without losing control. I want to teach your heart that it doesn't have to anticipate every pain in order to survive. I am working from the inside because of this. If I left your inner world and only altered your external circumstances, even in a season of peace, you would still find it difficult to find serenity. If you were ruled by old fear, you would continue to search for the wall crack. When it gets quiet, you would still brace. Because you would be anticipating the hidden cost, you would continue to doubt good things. I am there for taking my time and doing something much more sacred. The place where safety is defined in you is being rebuilt by me. I am moving your sense of security from flawless results to my consistent presence. That's not a minor adjustment, my youngster. That is fundamental. It implies that your way of life will start to change. It implies that your initial reaction will gradually cease to be panic. It implies that you won't automatically revert to preconceived notions when uncertainty arises. It implies that you won't immediately label something as dangerous when it is delayed. It implies that you will sense when someone changes. Yes, but you won't allow their unpredictability to diminish your value. It implies that even in times of uncertainty, you will have a space inside where my tranquility can meet you. I am constructing that. Allow me to extend an invitation for you to collaborate with me on this project. Give up trying to control everything in order to create safety. Quit gauging your level of tranquility by how well everyone acts. Give up assuming that tightening your grip is the solution if your heart feels uneasy. Instead, come here. Come sit with me. Allow me to impart a new language to your nervous system. Allow me to teach you a new way of thinking. Allow me to impart to your spirit that being aware of every possible outcome before it occurs does not guarantee safety. Knowing who is with you when the results are still uncertain is a source of safety. That's the kind of safety that endures. That's the kind of security that endures when things change. The world is unable to provide you with that level of safety. And I want you to start getting it right away. Not all at once, as a daily surrender, not as a show. Stop when you start scanning. Breathe when you find yourself attempting to read 10 steps ahead. Refrain from overanalyzing every quiet moment. Turn to face me. Whisper, Lord, teach me how to be safe in you right now. Then stay there. Do not rush away from that moment. Let me meet you in it. Let me begin to rebuild what fear hath been governing for too long. There are parts of you, my beloved, that still believe safety comes from certainty. That belief runs deeper than you may realize. This is why unanswered messages can sometimes stir more in you than they should, why delays can feel heavier than they look, or why a slight change in tone, distance, or energy has the power to arouse long-standing anxiety before anything tangible has even occurred. Your heart has come to associate uncertainty with danger because it used to be the doorway to suffering. That makes sense. But I need you to allow me to gently challenge it now. Uncertainty isn't always dangerous. Sometimes it's just the place where trust develops. Sometimes it's the room where your old patterns are revealed so I can heal them. And sometimes it's the place where you find out if your peace is still there. If your soul has been living like a house built around alarm systems, then every little sound feels urgent and every shadow feels suspicious. I know that kind of growth can feel uncomfortable, like being stretched in the very places where you once begged for relief. However, I am not stretching you to break you, rather, I am stretching you so your inner world can hold more peace than it could before. Every pause feels heavy, but I am not just adding better alarms, I am rebuilding the structure itself, strengthening the walls, repairing the foundation, and sealing the places where old fear has been sneaking in and making itself at home. For this reason, I need you to stop fighting every moment of internal discomfort as if it were a sign that something is wrong. Sometimes what you're feeling isn't a sign of collapse. Sometimes it's the sensation of reconstruction, and sometimes the unease is the old wiring being challenged. Sometimes the discomfort is similar to what happens when a soul that has lived in survival mode starts learning how to rest. Peace can feel suspicious when chaos has been your normal. Stability can feel strange when your system is used to looking for cracks, and rest can feel unfamiliar when you have been braced for too long. I am aware of this. I am patient with it. However, I do need your cooperation. I need you to stop reaching for old coping patterns every time you feel uncertain. Don't overanalyze. Don't assume the worst. Don't chase reassurance from the wrong places right away. Come to me first, and make that your new rhythm. When uncertainty arises, don't fill the silence with fear. Instead, fill it with my presence. Sit down if necessary, move away from the noise if necessary. Put your hand on your chest if it helps you stay present, and then ask me, Lord, what is true right now? That question matters. It interrupts the deluge of assumptions. It gives me room to keep you grounded in the present rather than allowing your mind to run off into fantastical futures. Sometimes what is true is just this: you are safe right now. Sometimes it's true that your body is recalling an old story, but the present is different. Sometimes it's true that there is a real concern and I am giving you discernment, not panic. Whatever the answer is, I want you to learn it with me, not with fear as your teacher. Fear is loud. I am teaching you a different pace, the holy slowness of peace, how to pause before you react, how to breathe before you decide, and how to ask before you assume. This is how I rebuild your sense of safety, not by promising that nothing difficult will ever happen again, but by creating in you a steadier place that does not collapse every time life becomes unclear. That is stronger than certainty. Fear loves unfinished stories because it rushes to write endings before I have spoken. I want you to know that this rebuilding will have an impact on more than just your inner peace. It will change how you love, wait, listen, choose, walk into new situations, and react when old fears try to reappear. When your sense of safety starts to root itself in me instead of imperfect circumstances, you stop needing to force what is not. That is the kind of safety that can survive the unknown because it is rooted in my nearness. Flowing just to avoid feeling vulnerable, you stop clinging to people who make you nervous just because their attention momentarily eases your fear. You stop calling emotional intensity connection just because it diverts your attention from emptiness. You stop needing every response right away. You stop interpreting every silence as rejection, and you stop mistaking urgency for intimacy. Do you see how deep this goes? It's not just about feeling calmer, it's about becoming freer. It's about not being easily manipulated by what makes you uncomfortable. It's about letting go of the need to avoid discomfort at all costs. It's about letting your old wound determine what enters your life. For this reason, I say again with tenderness and firmness, let me do this work in you. Stop rushing toward external solutions while ignoring the inner rebuilding. Stop asking for changed circumstances when I am offering transformed capacity. Stop pleading with me to take away what scares you while resisting the slower I am, not just trying to calm you down temporarily. I am training your entire inner world to live from a different center. This is why some of your progress has felt invisible. It's not because nothing is happening, rather, it's because foundations are being laid, and when foundations are laid, the most important work is frequently hidden. Therefore, trust the hidden work, honor the hidden work, cooperate with the hidden work, and practice. This is how safety is rebuilt, how peace becomes embodied rather than merely desired, how you transition from survival into stability. And one more thing, my child, because this is very important, the safety I am building in you does not make you passive. Return to me every day when your mind starts scanning, when your body tightens, when your heart wants certainty more than presence. Holy safety is not the absence of awareness, it is awareness without panic. It is tenderness without collapse, it is openness without recklessness. It is trust without self-abandonment. That is what I am shaping in you now. Come with me into it. Stop expecting instant results. Stop criticizing yourself every time the old alarms go off. Instead, let every moment become an invitation, every trigger become training, and every uncertainty become a place where I teach you again. You are safe because I am with you, not because everything is explained, not because every outcome is guaranteed, not because everyone is trustworthy, but because I am close by. I am aware, and I am creating in you a stronger, deeper sense of home than fear could ever create. Let me finish that work, stay with me in it, and don't run. From the sowness, I am rebuilding your sense of safety from the inside out, and when that work matures, you will carry peace into places that once would have made you tremble. My child, as I rebuild your sense of safety from the inside out, I am also calling you to help build refuge for others who are still trembling inside. There are souls braced in fear, hearts worn out from striving, lives waiting for the peace I am now teaching you, and your giving becomes a shelter I use to reach them, spoke of flowing from within, bringing life wherever it goes. And when you give, you release that river into places you may never physically stand. I see your willingness, and I declare over you, I will supply all your needs according to my riches and glory. This is not loss, rather, it is alignment with my provision system, where seeds become harvests and obedience becomes overflow. If you feel the pull, it's me inviting you into something eternal. Give through the PayPal link in the I will cover what you release, multiply what you sow, and establish your peace more deeply. Act now. Do not let this moment pass. My child, I need you to stay close to my voice right now because this is one of the most important things I will say to you in this season. I will not let familiar pain wear a new mask and fool you. I know how subtle this can be. I know how the old wound did not always return looking like the old wound. If it did, you would recognize it more quickly. The same face, the exact same words, the exact same pattern, you would take a step back sooner. But that is not typically how these things work. Pain is often cunning when it tries to come back to haunt you. It dresses differently, uses new language, offers a new setting, a new name, a new story, a new promise, and can appear to be another chance. A better opportunity, a more mature person, or a more polished version of the thing that once hurt you. At first it may seem safer because of the presentation is different. But underneath the my child, that's what I need you to pay attention to, not just the appearance, but the atmosphere, not just the words, but the weight they carry. The emotional atmosphere starts to feel oddly familiar, the same confusion starts to creep in, the same pressure starts to build, the same need to override your own peace starts to surface. The same quiet exhaustion starts to settle in. The same feeling that you have to work too hard for clarity, too hard for security, and too hard for basic emotional steadiness leave in you. Not just what something promises, but what it needs from your peace to stay connected to it. This is where a lot of people fall back into a trap. They look at the surface and ignore the sand. They look at the packaging and ignore the pattern. They tell themselves that this is different just because the details have changed, even though their spirit is subtly whispering, "I know that inner recognition matters. I have been teaching you to notice it. I need you to stop making decisions based solely on what appears different on the outside. Slow down. Ask deeper questions. Pay attention to how your spirit feels over time. Does peace remain or does it keep leaking out? Does clarity grow or not?" The enemy rarely repeats pain with obvious duplication. Instead, he frequently uses resemblance, not replication. He brings back the same emotional dynamic through a different doorway. He uses what is familiar to your wound, not necessarily what is identical to your memory. Don't let presentation hypnotize you. Don't let polish convince you. Don't let your desire for a fresh start blind you to an old pattern. Do you feel free to be honest, or do you feel pressured to minimize what is bothering you? Do you feel covered, or do you feel like you are constantly compensating? Those questions will protect you. They will help you recognize when familiar pain is trying to return wearing a clear face. To let me say this with tenderness and firmness. I want to help you distinguish between what is genuinely new and what is just familiar pain in a better disguise. Bring everything to me, not just the obvious concerns. Bring the subtle atmosphere. Bring the strange uneasiness. Bring the things you cannot fully explain yet. Bring the tension you feel after a conversation. Bring the quiet unrest that lingers when you think about moving forward. Bring the part of you that keeps trying to rationalize what your spirit already knows. I am not trying to make you wary of everything good. I am protecting you from the fake. I am not trying to make you cynical. I am teaching you to see the difference between a new beginning and an old wound with better marketing. I'll help you see it, if you'll let me. I know, my love, that part of the reason this is hard is because your heart wants redemption. It wants to think that what once hurt you might return in a healthier form. It wants to think that perhaps this time, the same kind of connection will at last be secure, the same kind of opportunity will at last be stable, and the same kind of promise will at last be fulfilled without the hidden cost. There is nothing wrong with the desire for redemption. It is not foolish in and of itself. But if it is not given up to me, it can make you susceptible to imitation and to what appears to be healing, but actually reopens the same wound. For this reason, I need you to stop assuming that because something. I say this with deep love because I know how much you have wanted certain things, how long you have waited, and how tempting it can be to call something from me, just because it arrived when it seems like a prayer you once prayed. Not everything that echoes your longing is sent by me. Some things appear at the right emotional moment because your hunger makes them appear like rescue. You were weary of waiting, but my child, timing is not confirmation. Familiarity is not safety. Emotional intensity is not alignment. Relief is not always peace. For this reason, I keep asking you to slow down. Sit with what you are feeling. Do not crown it too quickly. Do not label it too quickly. Let it breathe. Let your spirit watch the fruit. Let your peace tell the truth. And while you are watching, be brutally honest with yourself in the most loving way you can. Are you drawn because this is genuinely healthy, or because it feels like an old ache is being momentarily relieved? Are you feeling hopeful or relieved from loneliness, fear, or uncertainty? Are you feeling at peace or experiencing intensity that briefly makes you feel chosen? These are not difficult questions. They are holy questions that prevent you from mistaking a loop for a miracle and from calling repetition redemption. I need you to have the courage to ask them. When the answers begin to emerge, don't flee. Don't defend the pattern because a part of you wants it to be different this time. Pay attention to what is true. If the same emotional confusion begins to emerge, don't ignore it. If the same pressure to self-abandon starts to rise, don't explain it away. If you find yourself constantly striving for basic clarity, don't call that chemistry. If your spirit keeps shrinking while your emotions are chasing you, stop. Stop right there. That is not the path I want for you. That is not the cost I am asking you to pay. Come back to me. Bring the situation into the light. Ask me what is going on. Ask me if this is actually new or if it's just familiar pain dressed up. Then trust my answer, even if it hurts your expectations. Trust my answer, even if it means letting go of something you wanted to believe in. Because I would rather let me take you deeper into this, my dear child. Because recognizing familiar pain in a new mask is not only about external things. Sometimes the new mask is your own mindset. Sometimes the same old wound tries to return not through another person or opportunity, but through your interpretation of what is happening. That is love, my child. That is protection. That is the kind of fierce care I am giving you now. A truly safe relationship may initially seem dull because your body once learned to associate emotional instability with significance. A healthy boundary may feel distant if your old wounds were fed by enchment. You see how subtle this is. Sometimes the familiar pain is not just wearing a new mask in the world around you. Delay can feel like old rejection if you let your past narrate it. A normal need for patience can feel like old abandonment if you let memories speak louder than truth. You are wearing a new mask in the narrative you tell yourself, which is why I need your surrender on a deeper level than just external discernment. I need you to allow me to retrain your interpretations. I need you to let me show you when your old wound is trying to label something healthy as dangerous. Just because it doesn't feel familiar. I need you to let me reveal when what seems normal is actually an old pattern in disguise. This is where many of your future breakthroughs will occur. I am aware that it can be challenging, that your body has learned certain associations, that your emotions have certain habits, and that your mind occasionally still resorts to old scripts. But I am here to rewrite them with you. I am not asking you to figure out how to avoid obvious harm, but in learning how to receive what is truly good without mislabeling it. That requires patience, that requires honesty, and that you must stop trusting your first emotional reaction more than you trust my steady voice. I want you to ask yourself, Lord, is this truly danger or is this simply unfamiliar peace? This question will save you from many wrong turns, prevent you from rejecting what is healthy because it doesn't feel dramatic, and prevent you from embracing what is harmful because it feels familiar. I want you to intentionally practice this with me the next time something arouses your strong emotions. Whether it is pause before constructing a future around attraction, excitement, hope, fear, or urgency. Sit with me and allow the emotion to settle enough for the truth to emerge. Ask me what this is awakening in you. Ask me if it is aligned or if it is just touching an old hunger. Ask me if this carries my peace, or if it only provides temporary relief from something unresolved. Then listen. Observe the fruit, observe how your clarity changes over time, observe whether your peace deepens or diminishes. Watch to see if your honesty increases or decreases, whether you feel more or less like yourself in me. These are the sacred signals, my child. And if something really is a new mask on old pain, I will show you. I will make it harder to ignore. I will let the atmosphere reveal itself. I will stir the discomfort until you can no longer pretend not to see it. However, I need your consent. I need you to stop romanticizing the familiar. I need you to stop calling every strong pull meant to be, mistaking the old ache for the voice of destiny. Bring me the pull, the pattern, the pressure, the fantasy, and allow me to sort it with you. Because I will not allow familiar pain to disguise itself and deceive you. Not if you stay close. Not if you listen. And not if you allow my peace to become your standard rather than your old wound. I am protecting your heart more precisely than you realize, so trust that. And when something appears lovely but your spirit continues to whisper, I know this. I am removing your need to be chosen by what cannot keep you. I know how much that need has influenced your decisions, your reactions, your attachments, your patience, your over-explanations, and even the way you have sometimes interpreted my silence. Do not silence that whisper. Bring it straight to me. I will tell you what it is. My child, come closer for this because it reaches into one of the deepest roots beneath so much of your pain sometimes overrode what your spirit already knew. You wanted the affirmation, the intimacy, the assurance that you were important enough, that you were worth pursuing, protecting, making clear, and holding consistently. Longing is not evil, my child. It is deeply human, tender, and understandable. But when it is not rooted first in me, it can make you dangerously vulnerable to anything that offers the feeling of being chosen without the content of being retained.